There are some amazing PC VR gaming deals on Steam and even the Quest store this week for Black Friday. So here's a few standout deals for me. Starting with Star Wars Squadrons at 95% off with just $1.99, which is an all-time low. This game has been on my radar for a while, and at this price there's no way I can pass it up. Although it is also included in the Xbox Game Pass for PC, which is $1 for a 2-week trial. Gasless is one of my favorite VR games out this year and is 40% off at $8.99, which is huge considering it just released in September. It's a roguelike wave shooter that's literally on rails, but it really does nail all the mechanics in VR, such as the shield, weapon upgrades, and also a bunch of passive upgrades that carry on between games. It also reminds me of Mad Max, as you're always on the run from the Gasless, and it's just as chaotic as the movie. Just be aware it does get very physical in the later levels, so be prepared for an impromptu leg day. Until You Fall is 85% off for just $3.75 from Kinguin, which is a site I've used in the past without issue. This is a game I've been playing consistently for 2 years, as it has some of the most satisfying combat I've experienced in VR. Like Gasless, there's upgrades for each level, but there are also persistent upgrades for every weapon, which you can purchase in between games. The combat has quick time elements, but you still have to physically follow all the swing directions yourself, which is surprisingly a lot more immersive and engaging than swinging freely, like most combat games.
Take this floppy.
After the Fall is 78% off at $6.74 at Uplay. It's basically World War Z in VR, but with a fleshed out campaign and even a horde mode, all fully playable in 4-player co-op. The shooting mechanics are very satisfying. The zombies move quickly and erratically, and each shot feels impactful, so even the basic pistol is satisfying to use. At $6, even a zombie would consider this a no-brainer. Omega Agent is 75% off at just 74 cents. This is a jetpack game where you fly around obstacle courses and underground bases, but there's also a combat element with machine guns and shotguns. The graphics are quite simple, but it is surprisingly immersive and feels like you're really wearing a jetpack. As it's a seated game, you do have to play with a gamepad instead of the motion controllers. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is 85% off at $4.49, which is its lowest price. This was originally a flat screen game, but later added a VR mode. Visually, it's one of the most amazing and detailed games I've seen in VR, as flat screen games in general are usually more polished. However, this does also require a gamepad to play. Third-person games in VR might not sound immersive, but it's actually one of my favorite genres in VR, and it's just as immersive as first-person games. Superhot VR is 60% off at $9.99, which is basically its usual sale price, but I had to mention it anyway because it is the essential VR game, and if you haven't played it yet, you haven't experienced VR at its full potential. As time only moves when you move, you can do all sorts of bullet dodging maneuvers that you wouldn't be able to do in real time, because we simply can't move that fast. So this time mechanic really lets you pull off some amazing and crazy moves at your own pace, which can really show you your own potential, as you can play as slowly or as quickly as you're physically able to. Serious Sam: The Last Hope is 75% off at $7.49, which is its usual sale price, but I had to mention it as it's one of my favorite wave shooters. It was also one of the first VR games I've ever played 5 years ago, and yet I still play it sometimes. It's a truly over-the-top and overpowered shooter, which is the trademark Serious Sam style. So a game like this really feels empowering in VR. Plus the graphics are still some of the best I've seen in VR. Res Infinite is 70% off at $7.49. This is a remake of a PS2 game that released back in 2001, but it feels like it was always made for VR. It's a rhythm shooter, although you don't have to shoot to the rhythm. It's more of a shooter wrapped up as a psychedelic musical experience. The remake also added a new mode specifically for VR, which is where this game really shines. Undead Citadel is 30% off at $20.99, which isn't a huge sale, but it's still a decent price for another one of my favorite VR games out this year. The physics give the weapons some real weight, so you do need to swing a little slowly, but this actually adds to the immersion and pulls you into the combat. It has a full campaign and even a horde mode, which I keep coming back to. Lastly, I'm more of a PC VR gamer, so I never mention standalone games, but Meta have 40% off a whole bunch of games, which is actually the biggest sale I've seen from Meta. Just use the code BFCM23 to apply the 40% discount, which can even be used multiple times. A few Quest exclusive games I'm considering buying include Dungeons of Eternity for $17.99, which is a 4-player co-op dungeon crawler. Resident Evil 4 at $23.99, which is still regarded as one of the best standalone titles. And lastly, Medal of Honor Above and Beyond for $23.99. Also worth mentioning, Kiwi Design have 5% off their new Quest 3 accessories, but 25 to 40% off their Quest 2 accessories, which is one of the biggest sales I've seen from them. I've left links to all the games mentioned in the description, including the Quest Store sale and discount code. So that's all for this video, but I will be reviewing another Quest 3 accessory in the coming days, so feel free to subscribe for that. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next one.